Welcome back to MSG PM. Monica and Kaz hanging out with you. And without further ado, you hear this voice every time, just about, when you watch Knicks games. And we are thrilled to have him joining us tonight on MSG PM, the one and only Walt Clyde Frazier. Hey, Clyde, thanks for hanging out.
Hey, my pleasure. Even though it's past my bedtime, I'm happy to be with you guys.
Clyde, it's an honor to have you here. I know you already put in a day's work, but you kicking with us after the game means a lot to us. Let's talk about the game today. Julius Randle, 44 points, 7 threes. I mean, the guy's making an all-star case like no other. Tell me what you saw out there.
It was amazing, man. Plus he's still among the leaders in minutes played. I think he's still second in the league, over 36, 38 minutes a game. So I'm amazed by his stamina. And every game I come to the game, the man is out there working out before the game. Expending a lot of energy working on his game, obviously getting tangible results. Last year, he averaged 20 points, 9 rebounds. People played him off because he was always turning the ball over at ill-advised times. Shot selection wasn't that good. So no one expected much from him coming into this season. But I've seen his interviews. He's talked about how diligently he worked. He's from Dallas, went back, worked on his game, lost some weight, gained some confidence. And right now, he's definitely playing at an all-star level.
It's really, really hard to say anything other than that. But another interesting piece on this team this year has been the acquisition of D. Rose, who's just been such a positive for this squad. What do you think makes him such a good fit? Obviously, he's got the great relationship with Tibbs. Yeah,
but I'm still baffled how instantaneous it's been. The guy's only been here 3 or 4 games, and already it's been contagious, man. The second unit, which was in dire need of another guy that could score, now they're prolific. IQ is coming off scoring. Derek breaking down the defense. They've given RJ an opportunity to get a rest and come in like he did tonight in the fourth quarter. So ironically, he hadn't played the last 2 games in the fourth quarter. Has 7 points, 8 points. And tonight, coach put him in, maybe 6 minutes left in the game, 2 big threes down the stretch. So not only has it been Randle, but it's been a collective effort. What about Noel, the defense, man? This guy's blocking shots magnificently. He made a big basket. So the whole thing has been contagious, outrageous, the way this team has come together since the acquisition of Rose.
4-1 since MSG PM came here, so we got to keep having some more of them home games. Walt, let's switch gears just a little bit. Earlier this season, you had an incredible monologue before a game talking about the impact Martin Luther King had on your life. It's Black History Month, and I think the things that you said resonated so strongly with everybody who saw it. I would just love to get your thoughts on that, and just how the league, especially the New York Knicks, have really taken on the role of social responsibility in 2021.
Yeah, I mentioned Martin Luther King, the impact, because of my parents, my grandparents obviously idolized him. So my teachings were a lot of what he did, what he taught. I grew up under the pressure of segregation. My father and grandfather always taught me never look down on a man unless you're helping him to get up. And my grandfather thought he was a comedian and said, never kick a man when he's down. He might get up. So these were the guys who were always encouraging me to do something. I used to ask my grandfather, why do people call us names? And he said, hey, man, don't let that bother you. 9 times out of 10, if you treat people nice and show them respect, they will respect you. So I found that to be true. If you respect other people, they'll give you that respect back. And the character was a big factor when I was growing up, not so much your jump shot, but the type of person you were. You had to go to class, couldn't cut class. You had to be a good person, try to give back to others, to be a positive role model. So all of these teachings have got me sitting here tonight talking to you guys about Black History Month, the New York Knicks. But you mentioned today's players. So those guys haven't ridden the back of the bus. They haven't had a quota system coming into the NBA, but they're still concerned about black people and giving back and using that platform to better the relationship between black and white people. So I'm really proud of what today's young players are doing.
Man, Clyde, I'm sure to hear that from someone of your stature who was so elite in the game, it means the world to those young men that are currently using their platform. And I think what made your time, particularly in the 70s with the Knicks, unique was that that team was multicultural, even though we still hadn't made the progress in terms of race relations that we've made now. But that team in itself was multicultural, and the game was able to bring folks of different backgrounds together and do something spectacular.
Yeah, we were lucky we had Red Holzman, a guy who was colorblind. He never saw color. You work hard, you get in the game. So we had the utmost respect for him. We had Bill Bradley. Guy doesn't have a racist bone in his body, man. He's straight up as 12 o'clock. So he would not tolerate any of that type of talk. Dave DeBusschere, Jerry Lucas. So the white guys that we had on that club were solid people. But then when I look back, when I came into the league, I was looking up at Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson. These guys were the guys paving the way for us and eliminating racism and prejudice in the NBA and helping out. So I owe those guys a lot and what they were able to accomplish and making it easy for me to make my transition when I came in 1967.
You know, I love hearing about the good old days, the times before, you know, the NBA really exploded and the times that you really dominated in the league. Walt, you said you came in looking up to guys like Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, some of the legends of the game, Dave DeBusschere. What about the guards, man? Like, I feel like the NBA is such a guard-heavy league now. What are some of the guards that you enjoy playing against that you remember from back in the day?
I hated playing against them. Earl the Pearl, Nate Tiny Archibald, Dave Bing, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Phil Chenier, guys you never heard of, Archie Clark. Man, these guys were terrific. Every night I had to go, Pete Maravich. So every night, Lou Hudson. I could go on and on with the guys I had to play against. And but you're right, it was a challenge for me. I took a lot of pride in my defense. What happened when I was in college, my sophomore year, I was averaging like 25 a game, and I got cocky. I stopped going to class. So what would have been my junior year, I flunked out. So every day in practice, as a punishment, the coach made me play defense. For a whole year, I'd never played offense. I played defense. So I said to myself, I didn't blame the coach, so I said I'm going to be the best defensive player there is. So I mastered the stance. You hear me saying, see the ball, see your man at the same time. All of these things I mastered, man, and I used to steal the ball from guys. So defense became my favorite part of the game. So when I came into the NBA, I wasn't playing good, but I used to go in against Oscar and West and these guys. So I took that challenge, Earl the Pearl, trying to hold these guys down, and that was my favorite part of the game, and I know that's why I'm in the Hall of Fame, because these guys made me elevate my game to where I became an all-star and one of the best players in the league.
Okay, so Clyde, then are you now happy that you skipped that class and got in all that trouble? It worked out.
It was the making of Walt Frazier, you're right, because prior to that, you know, someone else would book my classes. But when I flunked out, the coach didn't do anything for me. I had to get my own housing. I had to do my own tutoring. I lived off campus. So that was the making of Walt Frazier. You know, I had to take a full load of classes to challenge myself in the classroom. And that's why I'm an announcer today, because I gained confidence and that I could do it. You know, my parents would tell me that. Everybody would say, hey, you could do it, Walt, but you got to apply yourself. You know, it's not easy. It's just like being a good ball player. You got to work at it. You got to work hard. So that's what I learned to do. And also in college, I learned it's not what you know, it's who you know. So that helped me out as well.
Now, Clyde, it's President's Day. A lot of people have the day off. And when we get into these sports arguments, these debates, everybody talks about the Mount Rushmore. Who's in your Mount Rushmore for the NBA today, past, present, all time? For your time, I would love to know your personal Mount Rushmore when it comes to the NBA.
You see, when they talk about the greatest players, I always say, what's the criteria? If you're talking about Superman, it was Wilt Chamberlain. He has records that are hilarious. 100 points in a game. One season, he played every minute of every game. So this guy, nobody will ever match that. If you're talking about winning, it's Bill Russell. You're talking about your boy Tom Brady, 7 rings. What about 11 rings? And 8 of those were, I think, consecutively. If you talk about versatility, Oscar Robertson, a guy who almost averaged a triple-double for his whole career, for 12 years, not just 1 year, 2 years. And so these are the guys like, you know, how could I leave these guys out? Bill Russell, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West. So those guys would be kind of on my Mount Rushmore. I think I would put Jordan on there. I would have Russell, Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's very underrated, Kareem.
Producer Q, just copy and paste Clyde's Mount Rushmore for my Mount Rushmore because I trust him. And yeah, but before we let you go, Clyde, we do want to check in a little bit with the restaurant, Wine and Dine. What made you want to open the restaurant, and can you share any updates?
Ironically, my partner is a big Knicks fan. So I used to go out with him, and one day he approached me at perhaps doing a restaurant. It took me 2 weeks to get back to him because, you know, I was halfway. I had 1 foot in St. Croix. So I was kind of looking for a retirement going to St. Croix. You know, I'm a sailboat captain. So I was going to charter my boat to tourists. I have my houses there that I rent. And so once I thought about it, I was like, hey, man, while you still can work, you should work. And I like meeting and greeting now. I like still talking to the fans. I learn a lot sometimes talking with the fans. I love kids. So I still do basketball camps. I've been doing basketball camps for 50 years. So once I thought about it, I told them, yeah, I'd like to do that. So we opened Clyde's Wine and Dine, and it exceeded my expectations. You know, I thought it was going to be just a little place where you come in and get some drinks, man, but it's a whole block. You guys know that. 10th Avenue, 37th and 38th Street. Food is steaks, chops, chicken, seafood.
Delicious.
We have the burgers. Yeah, the guacamole, whatever you want. We have the basketball
is my
hoop.
favorite, Clyde.
The basketball hoop has been a hit. I mentioned to him, I said, maybe we should put a basketball court in there. But I was just talking about a little basketball hoop. Obviously, he put a full court in there. So most of the people come in there, they want to play one-on-one. They're always challenging me, you know. And I just tell them, hey, keep practicing, man. Go down, keep practicing.
Well, Clyde, thank you so much for hanging out. Kaz is showing you much respect. You gave him a little bit of heat one broadcast about the kicks.
I learned my lesson. I never leave without my Pumas no more, swag champ. So thank you. Thank you for
So maybe you guys one night can do a show from Clyde's Wine and Dine, you know.
You know what?
Hey,
I'm with
have
it.
your people call our people.
Word up, word up. As long as the filet mignon's on the house, let's make this happen. I'm all the way with that.
So we'll set it up. In the meantime, keep up the good work. I enjoy what you guys do.
Yes, sir.
Clyde,
Appreciate that, sir.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We definitely will take you up on that invitation. We'll talk to all of our MSG bosses for sure. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of the season. We'd love to have you back on the show.